When y'all go back and listen to your podcast, like your interviews, and I don't know how much editing y'all do. Um, what did it
Enough.
feel like the first time after listening to y'all
Oh,
facilitate a conversation? And this is important, right?
Right.
To reinforce Davis's y'all's point, the point we just talked about is like you nailed it. When's the best time to plant a tree? 30
Right.
years ago.
That's right.
What's the next best time? Right now, because
That's
it's
right.
got to grow. You got to let those things develop and grow. But there's the fear and the insecurity, like the realities of the exposure, people making fun of you, people telling you it's bunk. You're like, why did you pick that person? All the critiques, right? You're gonna have to deal with that.
Right.
But then when you hear your own voice, that's a different level of critic. How did that go for y'all?
Walker, if you don't care, I want to. Yeah.
you
So
got it, man. Go
we
for it.
had our. I think back to listen to the first two. Man, we had two guys, Jordan Nicholson and then Nick Chaplow. And I think back to how we started the second one. Like Walker and Nick were like these guys just going at it, like having a good time like this. And I'm just like, immediately after Nick finishes his sentence, I'm like, so tell me about being a superintendent. And he's just like, oh, okay, sure. And I'm just like, how uncomfortable was that for him to like just experience people? And I'm still working out of my OCD shell and just complete change.
What's happening, L&M family? Jesse here, and I got a special conversation for y'all today. I got to hang out with Davis and Walker from the Lane Foundations podcast, and you're probably going to pick it up throughout the episode, but I'm a big fan of these guys. They're two young professionals that just exemplify humility and care in a different way of approaching work and a different way of honoring and respecting people. I'm going to ask you guys to check out their podcast. The whole purpose is so that they can pull and house that information for future generations that are coming into the industry. Like, that's just straight up cool. And keep your eyes peeled because these two fine gentlemen invited Renee and I to do a series of live streams with them talking about, the dynamics of the job site and the dynamics of being a human being. And we get into some tricky conversations. There's one already posted on their YouTube page, and we're going to have one a month coming out for the next 3 months. So check them out. And in our conversation with these two fine young lads, we talk about how launching their own podcast impacted them personally and professionally. I know myself after launching the Learnings and Missteps podcast, I've learned quite a bit about my habits and my filler words and other really amazing stuff. And these guys, they dive into it nice and deep for us. As the conversation goes, we get into talking about how ego can lead you astray and drive you to burnout in doing things that really don't serve you or your community. It's almost ignoring your calling to fulfill some vain or superficial need. There's going to be some emotion, so be ready for that. And of course, we cannot get started without giving a shout out to our patrons that have been supporting us for months and months now, enabled us to hire a virtual assistant to help us with our show notes so you can tell they're not bulletized and they have meaning and artistry to them. Shout out to Miss Kayla Soulhug for that. And if you're down to support us monetarily, head on over to learningsandmissteps.com, click on the Become a Member button, and there's a bunch of stuff in there for you to click and contribute. And as always, we are super grateful for the time that you have blessed us with. Here we go. What's going on, L&M family? We got like the dynamic duo, super cool, super awesome, super humble, Walker Lott and Davis Hambrick from the Lane Foundations podcast today. What's going on, guys?
Woo! What's up,
Hey,
man?
you forgot super young, Jesse, compared to you.
The silver fox.
That's right. That's right.
Damn, right out of the gate. I love it. Yes, super young, full of energy.
That's right.
Gotta hit you hard. Gotta hit you where it counts, real
That's,
quick.
That's right.
that's exactly right, man. You guys, I want to say that y'all are the first folks that ever reached out and said, "Hey, can y'all be on our podcast? Because we heard your podcast." And I remember, and Renee, of course, Renee's
A
not
while
here.
ago.
He's out trying to get an apartment with his wife, and doing life, like you said, Walker. He's out there doing
Right.
life,
Doing life.
That's important. But I was like, dude, they want to like, how do you know him? Because like every other podcast that I've been interviewed on is because of people that I know. And like, no, like he's like, it was like the awesomest thing. So like, it was the coolest thing to be invited. And since then, we've been pretty connected and doing some other stuff. And I'm going to embarrass y'all, but I am a huge advocate of the two of you. Y'all know I've been in the industry. All the gray hairs will tell you how long I've been in the industry. And it is rare to find young professionals like yourselves that approach with the learner's mind all the time. To steal Davis's quote, lead with questions and just straight up like be curious, honest, vulnerable human beings. And I know that we need that. And so that's why I'm such a huge advocate and say it as many times as I need to say it, so that people understand that there is a model out there, and you guys are that model. What do y'all think about that one?
Well, appreciate that, man. That's really kind words. I don't know if we believe that, but we do try to live up to it as much as we can. Being young guys in an industry of a lot more experienced people is a lot harder sometimes. As we talked about it before the show, Alex Craft, experience takes time. So kind of taking that and rolling with it and trying to learn something new every day is what Davis and I aim to do.
That's right. And just having the humility every day. It doesn't matter if we're CEOs of some big company or we're laborers or whatever the title. We want to just be known for humility, because we know ultimately the next day you can get humbled really quick.
Oh yeah.
I've lived a life of not trying to be humbled before. I really got to my full-time job, and I can just think of lessons of times where Davis was too hot-tempered. He didn't take time to ask questions. He didn't care too much about whatever people thought. He didn't try to build a team. And so Walker and I mean, just so thankful for Walker. I'm so thankful for you, Jesse. But Walker and I just growing together and excited to see where we go. Hopefully, people want to know what it means to be a young person in construction. That's what we're aiming to do. But man, I just appreciate your words. I don't know if we deserve it, but we're going to take them.
Take them, baby. Take them.
That's
To
right.
quote Jennifer Lacey, you got to own your impact, man. And that's how y'all are impacting me. So with that, I'll start with Walker. Walker, what do you want the L&M family to know about you?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Let's see.
And Davis, you can like jump in and say, hey, don't forget this. And no, that's not true.
Well, man, my name's Walker Lott. I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia, from Birmingham originally, so it's a big change. But Davis and I met at Auburn. A little bit about me, I guess. Man, I work for Haskell, the Haskell company, so assistant project manager for them. That's my day job. On the side, love doing laying foundations with Davis. We have a lot of big plans with that, hoping to really expand the narrative of construction is kind of what we're aiming to do. Not change it necessarily, because you don't want to change something that's working for a lot of people. But if you expand it and you change the way people think about it a little bit, that's kind of what we're aiming to do. And so hopefully through laying foundations, through conversations with you, and that's something that we can do. But I don't know what else to say about me. I just enjoy being here with you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. How about you, Mr. Davis?
Yeah, I'm Davis Hambrick, co-host of the Laying Foundations podcast with Mr. Walker Lott. That's how I bring him in every week. But I'm an assistant field manager at Bassville and Gorey. I met Walker at Auburn University in a roofing competition team. And one thing I'll say about Walker, he's one of the most humble people I've ever met. He will never admit it, and I'm not going to say his accolades because he don't want to talk about it. But I mean, just his heart. It's great to see. I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but I'm so thankful for him.
Love you, brother.
That's amazing, brother. That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. We help each other, carry each other through it all. Well, so Walker, Davis was asked the question of what people should know about him, and what he said was what people should know about you. Yeah. So Walker, help us out. What should people know about Mr. Davis?
Well, one thing, exactly that is Davis is also one of the most humble people you'll ever meet, and he
Yep.
doesn't like to talk about himself. He'll throw it on other people and talk about all that they've done and who they are. But Davis is truly one of the most humble dudes. He loves Jesus with a passion, and he just gets out there and tries to lead from behind. He's not the guy that's going to jump out in front and leave everyone in the dust, but he likes to make sure everyone gets there on time and no one's going to get left behind. He does that with laying foundations, and he does that with his job. I know that he's changed a lot of people's lives already on the job site just by being a friend to him. I get to hear stories all the time of Davis just sitting there and talking to someone that might not normally ever had someone talk to. And they kind of look at Davis and be like, "What are you like? Why are you doing this? What are you talking to me for? Like, what? That's no one ever does that." And Davis is like, "Man, I just want to know who you are. I want to get to know you a little bit. I want to be your friend." And the guys are just kind of taken aback. But slowly over time, Davis has started to change a lot of these guys, life in a way that they feel recognized and they feel noticed. And that's just a brief description of the man that Davis is.
That's amazing.
He's an awesome dude. For those of you who have never met Davis, you need to get to know him because you won't be disappointed.
10-4 on that. And I'll tell you this. What you described, Walker, is exactly what I experienced when I talked to Davis, when I talked to you, when we've had interviews and done the live streams. And what I hope people go back and watch this and listen to this, like this little piece here of what just happened, because the love that y'all demonstrate is profound and almost entirely absent out there. Like we're construction workers, we're men, and all this head garbage doesn't help us. But demonstrating being real and demonstrating the love that we have for each other and for people, like that's what it's going to take. And you guys, I mean, I swear, like every single time I interact with you, I'm like, son of a gun, dude, I want to be like them when I grow up. Like maybe we'll see.
Well, guys, I got my crying out early, so maybe we won't have that happen again. But man, I'm a crier. I'm so thankful, guys. I appreciate you being willing to talk highly about me.
Yeah, you're amazing, man. So y'all mentioned the Lane Foundation's podcast, and y'all are like on a pretty rapid clip. I mean, in my head, y'all are releasing an episode a week.
We are. It's we do about an episode a week, and honestly, we started that goal, and it's like, let's get a couple episodes recorded, and then we'll go from there. And there's I listen to Bigger Pockets podcasts a lot. I don't know if you ever listened to that before. It's a real estate podcast.
Okay.
I really enjoy real estate. And so I've listened to them for a year or two. And there's one guy on there that said he was a young guy and he flipped a ton of houses, maybe like 100 or something in a year, or 50 in a year, something crazy, like an absurd number. And basically he said, I did that because like that's all I knew. No one told me otherwise. And we've had people say that, wow, a podcast a week, or that's a lot. And, that's like, you should have started off with like a podcast every 2 weeks or a month. And then honestly, we just started going because we didn't know any better. No one told us differently. Yes. So that's kind of how we try to live a little bit. But it's been tough, but we really, really love doing it. And it's been, as we talked about earlier, it's a learning thing. You talked about posting and different times that people listen. We've been doing an hour-long podcast for a while. Then we switched to 30 minutes with some wise advice in our life. And that's changed drastically. We have listeners for like the entire time now instead of just part of it. And it's pretty interesting to see how it's grown and the incredible people we've had on there.
Oh man, yeah, y'all have had some monster folks on y'all's podcast, and the conversations are always amazing. How about you, Davis? What kind of impact is y'all's podcast having on you, man?
Well, clearly it's had an impact on me. I just think about the people I've met, the people we've had this conversation. Like a few years ago, I wouldn't be comfortable with getting to talk to Jesse, a superstar, of just getting to experience him, or Miss Jennifer Lacey, or Jason Schroeder, or, I just would not have been comfortable doing it. And the fact that if you start something and you're willing to commit to it and you're willing to grow and you push away the fear, because there's fear. Walker and I have fear every day about where we're going. But if we continue to grow, if we can still continue to push and build each other up, and like you said, have love for each other, like we're going to make it, and we're going to do whatever God wants us to do. But the impact the Laying Foundation podcast has had on my life is crazy. Like you think about, like Walker mentioned, the conversations I'm willing to have with a guy on a job site now is unbelievable. It's
Awesome.
crazy. It's literally like this person. I'm a huge introvert. People don't know that, and I'm this guy that overthinks and is always thinking about how do I go approach this. Before this interview, I've thought 1,000 different thoughts, and I've slowly began to come out of this OCD nature and slowly turn into a person that just kind of shows up and is trying to experience other people and just ask questions. And so it's weird. Like the amount of growth from a year of doing a podcast.
Oh yeah, it's nuts.
It's unbelievable. And I would challenge people, whether you want to do it for fun or not, if you commit to trying to do one every week, you're going to grow and you're going to get pushed to be uncomfortable. And you're going to look back and go, man, I want to do it again and again and again.
Well, the one quote you said is like the best time to start something is 30 years ago, but the second best time is now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a lot of people say, oh, I want to do this or I want to start this, but they don't. They never do. They're like, I'll start it next week. I'll start it next year. And, I'm guilty of that. We're all guilty of that. But until you just step out there and be like, I'm just going to try it and see how it goes. And then it will go. If you put time and effort into it, it will go.
That's right.
Yeah, man. 100%. Wise words. So y'all are out of university, what, like 60 days or so?
Davis been out a lot longer
about
than
a
me.
month or something like that.
So, I mean, recent grads within the last year, I guess?
Yeah, I graduated in December of 2020, and Walker graduated in August of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing, man. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Tell me, when y'all go back and listen to your podcast, like your interviews, and I don't know how much editing y'all do, what did it feel like the first time after listening to y'all facilitate a conversation? And this is important, right? To reinforce y'all's point, the point we just talked about is like, you nailed it. When's the best time to plant a tree? 30 years ago. What's the next best time? Right now, because it's got to grow. You got to let those things develop and grow. But there's the fear and the insecurity, like the realities of the exposure, people making fun of you, people telling you it's bunk. You're like, why did you pick that person? All the critiques, right? You're gonna have to deal with that.
Right.
But then when you hear your own voice, that's a different level of critic. How did that go for y'all?
Walker, if you don't care, I want to. Yeah, so
you got it, man.
We had I think back to listen to the first two. Man, we had two guys, Jordan Nicholson and then Nick Chaplow. And I think back to how we started the second one, like Walker and Nick were like these guys just going at it, like having a good time like this. And I'm just like, immediately after Nick finishes his sentence, I'm like, so tell me about being a superintendent. And he's just like, oh, okay, sure. And I'm just like, how uncomfortable was that for him to like just experience people? And I'm still working out of my OCD shell. And just complete change. Doesn't even think about what we're talking about. And he's just like, okay, thank you, Davis. And then he goes into it. So, I mean, we're already huge critics of ourselves. And we're laughing because it's so funny. But, man, we've had people tell us, like Walker's mom and my mom, that's the only two listeners we have. So they tell us that, dude, since the first or second episode, man, you've grown tremendously. And I'm like, well, thank you. That's what we need to hear. And we're just going to keep trying.
That's amazing, man. That's a great story. How about you, Walker?
Dude. Honestly, I don't even remember that barely. That's hilarious. No, it's it is different, and a lot of it comes down to pride, in my opinion, that we both have plenty of, especially me. But when you kind of start dropping that a little bit and start realizing it doesn't matter. Like, I know who my identity is, and that's in Jesus Christ, and it's not in what someone thinks of me, which is what a lot of people have, especially nowadays, is that, well, they're going to make fun of me. They're going to think different of me. They're going to, talk about me behind my back, and they might. And so what? Like, they're going to do it anyway, no matter if you do a podcast or if you start a company or if you work for someone, it doesn't matter. Like, it's going to happen anyway. So you might as well go out and do something and start something and make it happen. And so, I mean, that was kind of what Davis and I did, you know, but we kind of changed the mindset of it. And instead of being embarrassed about that, we started trying to use our resources to our advantage, because at the moment, well, you know, at least I was in school, and I had access to professors and to professors that knew industry leaders, and to people at Auburn who have been in the industry for, I don't know, you know, 30 plus years, and then came back and taught. And then we've had internships, so we had access to that. And so instead of saying, you know, woe is me, like, hey, what are my resources? What can I use at this very point in time, and how can I leverage those different relationships? Not in a bad way, not taking advantage of them, but how can I leverage like what they know and who they know with, hey, like, I want to get you on the show. And then afterwards, we always ask the question at the end, who do you know? It's kind of John Maxwell thing. Who do you know that might want to do this or that might be interested? And people are so willing to be, oh man, I know this guy and this girl, and like, let me reach out to them. And they do, you know, I'd say most of the time, not every time, but most of the time they reach out to them and connect us. And we've gotten guests that way. It's just it's kind of like a snowball effect. And if you go out and do it, then it works, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
If I could, Jesse, going back to, you know, I tried to answer that question, but I couldn't do it. I started crying. But if I could go back really quickly, just to answer kind of what Walker's talked about, you know, ultimately, I want to be remembered as not I hosted a podcast, not that, you know, I made a lot of money, or that I worked for Brassfield and Gorey. I love that I worked for them, but I don't want to be remembered that. I want to be remembered that every time I talked to Davis, I was shown love, and I was shown that he cared for me. And that's at the heart of who I am. And that's what Walker and I want to do. We want to have a podcast to where it's not just about all the things about construction, but it's what we've learned, and how can people that have gone through this industry, that have experienced so much hurt, experienced so much pain, know that, hey, there's a better way. We don't have to continue to do it the way where we just beat ourselves in. Like,
yep.
Jesse, I know you know this, and Walker, I know you know this, but the construction industry is the number one industry for suicide.
Yep.
And there's a reason for that. And so what can we do? You know, I'm going to push back, Walker, here. I don't want to just expand it. I want to change the industry. That's at my heart. I want people to come into this industry and experience completely different than the previous generations. And I think that's just time. Like we said, experience takes time. But as we continue to mold, I don't want to look back whenever I retire, if the Lord lets me, and go, man, I didn't change anything. I wasn't there to help other people. I didn't push back on what the narrative was. Like we're going to talk about in this next live stream in February, how to not become callous to that's just the way we've done it before. So those are my thoughts.
Man, I'm getting chills hearing you talk. Right? It's I heard I don't know if I heard it or read it. Somebody was kind of describing their nightmare, and their description of their worst nightmare would be showing up in heaven and meeting themselves, and their greater self saying, man, you could have done so much more. There was so much more left. Like, you just didn't make it happen. And I'm like, oh God, like that's in my head all the time. Like the talents, the gifts that we've been blessed with, if we're not sharing them, like what are we doing? We're not sharing them to make things better, enhance the quality of life for other people, then what are we doing? I mean, that's my philosophy. I'm sure that's not everyone's. So yeah, you got me.
There's this book I read. It's called The Traveler's Gift.
Okay.
By a guy named Andy something. I'm trying to remember his last name.
Stanley?
No, not Andy Stanley. It's another guy. But it's called The Traveler's Gift, I believe. One of the best books ever. I loved it. It's a fantastic book. I'd highly recommend it. It's a story with. It's a fictional but story with like very true elements in it, and basically, I won't go through the whole book. But at the end of it, at one of the last, we can do a book club later. At the end of the last one of the last chapters, it's a story about the guy he's in a wreck, so now he's kind of like going through different. It's kind of like the Christmas Story with Ebenezer Scrooge. Yep. And but basically the guy's going through these different timelines of his life, and he gets to one, and there's Gabriel, the angel. I think it's Gabriel that is there. I know there's a couple of different ones. I'm pretty sure it's Gabriel, and he's there, and it's the main character of the book, and they're in this room, huge room. You can't see the end of it. It's just like a massive room with shelves lining it all the way down. It's shelf after shelf, as far as the eye can see. And they're walking in there and they're talking and they're looking at the shelves, and all on it are these incredible ideas and incredible inventions and incredible things. And Gabriel says these are the ideas and the inventions that would have changed the world that people brought to their grave that never got a chance to see the light. And it's because people just never took the risk, and they never did. They didn't want to go out there and change people's lives. They didn't want to go out there and at least be someone that someone can rely on, and they were very happy with staying in their own little bubble and not living a life that really disrupts anything, which is not a bad thing all the time. Like if that is what you are called to do, and you are called to live a very, very simple life of just trying to love people next to you, that's fantastic. But if you are called to do something else and you do not answer that call, then your ideas, your life is going to end up on a shelf, in an empty room that no one ever sees. And so that's kind of how the way is that Davis and I like to live our lives, is that we have something, let's try to do it, like, let's not just sit there and let it wait. And we do a bad job of that sometimes, but we're constantly back and forth on each other. Like, hey, there's still people out there that need some love. There's still people out there that need to hear the gospel. There's still people out there that need to hear about construction and how it's not just, dirty construction worker, but it's, hey, this can change your life. And that's kind of how we like to laying a foundation. Oh
man, you know what, L&M family, if you're not fired up right now, you need to go slam some coffee or something, because man, I'm like amped right now. No, I'm like, damn it, what is it? Get after it, baby. Yeah,
that's right.
I got I'm not even gonna go there. I have a repository of ideas. I call it the Idea Incubator. I've showed it to Davis, so I use Trello. And I have this board of
we started using.
Did y'all really? Yes.
Yeah, I texted him yesterday. I said, I'm tired of us not knowing what we're each others are doing, because sometimes we'll start texting back. I'm like, what are you talking about? And so we sent an invite to Trello, and we both started putting everything on there, and then easy. It was so nice. It was like the best thing ever.
Oh, dude, it's an amazing tool, and like I get those random ideas after an amazing conversation with beautiful people like you two. Or I'm on the plane or reading a book or listening. It's like, or when I go to the movies, I like to go to the movies by myself. And I always take a little notebook or a little journal book thingy, because it inevitably, man, I'm watching some movie and it'll trigger some memory or something. And then it, like the Monday morning hugs that I do, that's where those come. Like, oh, I need to write that one down. I need to write, and then I'll, get my makeup done and get my highlights touched up so I can get a recording on that. Oh, yeah, they're awesome. So, podcasters, construction professionals, beautiful, confident, loving men that are not afraid to show love. That's today. What were your earliest career aspirations? Think back. Like, you don't even have to think back that far, man. Come on.
Yeah. I wanted to be a pilot.
A pilot?
Yeah, I wanted to be a pilot, but I'm colorblind, so that didn't work out very well.
Oh, so was like helicopter pilot, jet fighter pilot?
I was going to go into the Air Force, and at the time, I can't remember exactly what happened, but I scored a certain score in the ASVAB. They didn't have the thing for me, the job that I wanted before going into a pilot, so I didn't take it. But before then, why I think I got so put into construction was I went on mission trips in middle school and high school, and I just got to go build a roof for somebody, or build a garage, or do trash, or pick up trash, or weed eat somebody's yard, like something simple. And it's just like the heart of serving people that can't do it. That's what I love. Like, not like because I'm getting anything out of it, but because I'm truly adding value to them on something they can't do. My love language, I tell my fiance all the time, is to do something for me that I usually have to do. If you do something for me that I don't have to do, I'm going to just do whatever I can to help you in any other way.
Love it. So the pilot thing, what triggered your interest about being a pilot, Davis?
I don't know. I'm fascinated by planes. Like the other day, so with Brass and Gory, I got to go do AFM training in Atlanta, and I get to fly out there, and they pay for it, and I'm so thankful to get the opportunity. But I just think about getting in the air, and there's something different about it. I just sit in awe up there. I look outside and I'm just watching, and I just think, holy cow, like I get to live on this earth. I get to live in a time where I get to fly. Like think back 2,000 years ago in Jesus' age or different age, and people didn't even have running water, and I get to fly in an airplane. Like holy cow, like it just absolutely fascinates me.
Oh man, that's a beautiful contrast. You know, we've talked about this, the confusing comfort for value, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have refrigerators right now that will store food for an extended period of time so that we don't starve, right? Like
Months.
like, and still I'll complain about the stupid latte that I ordered at Starbucks and they didn't get the right consistency of vanilla squirts or whatever.
Right.
I mean, so value for comfort, man. Like we got refrigerators. That's like a miracle.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm complaining about my latte.
Right.
I need a reality check every now and then.
And then even too, it's like, man, I got bills to pay. Well, yeah, but you also have a house. You have an apartment. You have electricity. You get to shower. Like, shut up and pay for it. And
you have a place to sleep.
Right.
Yeah, we got so much to be grateful for, man. Like it's amazing how easy it is to lose track of that. And again, you guys, I think anytime I've had any contact with you guys, all you do is show appreciation and gratitude. And that's what, that's why I want to roll with you guys. Plus, breathe a little youth back into my life. How about you, Walker? What were your earliest career aspirations?
So I was actually pre-med before I went into construction, believe it or not.
Okay.
So actually for most of my life, I wanted to be pre-med or something along the lines. So my dad's a chiropractor and a medical doctor. He's got both degrees. So I kind of grew up in that. My family's a medical family. My cousins are nurses and granddad's a pharmacist and all kinds of stuff. So I grew up in that background. And I went to I have a long college journey. It's a very long story. But I went to school and I was pre-med there and I really liked it. But I wasn't feeling called to it. And then a lot of things happened. My parents got in a very bad car wreck, and all kinds of things, and it retired them. And so I transferred from that school. It's pretty far away, 2,000 miles away. And so I transferred back home and went back home, went to Auburn, and then my parents were like, hey, you should look into construction. You should look into building science. I think you might really like it because I grew up building with my dad, and we always did projects around the house, and I started doing remodel projects for people, for my family, and so my parents, and I love Legos like with a passion. I'd still play. I would still have a Lego room today. No lie. I love Legos so much. They're just a blast. And so 25-year-old saying that might be a little weird, but I think they're great. Like you can build whatever you want. It's like just your imagination gets to go. And so I tried building science out at Auburn, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, and I fell in love with it, with the people, with the program, and with the industry, and then here we are. So
10-4. Well, so two things. One, I'm going to go with the Lego thing. I have a Lego kit right now in my house that one day I'm going to set a date. So it's January. By October, I'm going to run both of you guys through that. So it's a simulation. It's the Valego Last Planner System simulation. We use Legos to demonstrate the value that Last Planner System can have.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, dude, it's like there's all kinds of different stuff out there and different opinions. Yeah, man. But I'm telling you, I love it. I love the game. It's the Lego thing, grown professionals.
Dude, there's something about it. People love Legos.
Dude, it's the coolest. It's the coolest. So that was the one thing. So I'm with you on the Legos. The second thing, and I love it, man. You guys' humility is inspiring. So, Davis, You asked Walker to like, where were you going to school? And Walker's like, I don't really want to talk about it. And the reason I'm going to push and ask this is because, Walker, people knowing what we've been through, the high highs and the low lows, communicates to them what is possible for them. And when people meet you and y'all's souls and hearts align, their reality becomes expanded because of what you've experienced. And so to share that, there's value in sharing that. So Davis, if you would please, where was he when he was 1,000 miles away?
Mr. Walker went to Yale.
Damn, gangsta. That's
But
amazing, man.
if I can, you know why? This is just something to me. I'm just going to read. This is why Walker and I are like this. It says, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. Let someone else praise you and not your own mouth, and not an outsider and not your own lips." And that's what we live by. That's why we don't like to talk about stuff, because you never know what's coming tomorrow. You never know the next day. That's what I keep talking about with humility, is that the very next day, pride can come in, and you can think so highly of yourself, and someone's going to humble you. And
oh boy,
that's why we live it this way.
I love it. So then this was the perfect recipe to have both of you on here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have heard nothing about you if it was individual. So
right.
This is perfect. Man, congratulations on that, Walker. And I think, I know an important lesson for the L&M family out there is we have an idea of what we want to do. It's a foggy glimpse of where we think we want to be. And then when we put ourselves in that direction, on that path, we discover that it's not really, it wasn't our calling. It just doesn't sit right. It feels, it rubs us. It rubs us over and over and over and again. And there's absolutely nothing wrong. Rather, it is absolutely appropriate to listen to the whispers, to listen to the calling, and make those hard decisions. And I applaud your parents for saying, hey, what about construction? Right? Because y'all know I'm a trades advocate. And I talk about, employers, and I talk about students, and I talk about teachers, but I don't talk enough about the stress and the judgment that parents go through when they advocate for their children to start a career in construction or in the trades. And your parents said, hey, why don't you think about this? And also with their background of being in the healthcare medical profession with immense education, and it's a family thing, like that's a pretty darn big deal. So applause to your parents for that. That's
they're great.
They're awesome.
They're the best for sure.
Oh man,
very thankful that they're still here. So.
Oh my goodness, yes, we got to be thankful for that. And so again, one more reminder to the L&M family out there: support the people the parents that you know that have advocated for their children to begin careers in the trades and in the construction industry. Because there's some people out there that are like, oh my God, like, is that really what you want them to do? Like, is that like they have so much more potential? And it's like, oh, they don't know. You can't judge them. They don't know. But we need to support one another in this endeavor to, go back to Davis, is we want to change things. And the way we change it is together. And we've got to support each other, everybody, the parents, the students, the workers, the educators, like the entire system, in order for it to improve to the degree that we want it to improve. I'm doing too much talking.
No, man.
No, keep it going. That was good.
I got something too, is that, Walker and I believe a certain thing. That's our faith. And I also want people to know that it doesn't matter if you believe what I believe, I'm still going to pursue you and help you. And that's where we need to get in the world. Like, if you don't believe what I believe, that doesn't mean I'm going to throw you to the side like you're trash. No, like the foundation of what we believe is that we want you to see how we live and see what we do. And if that draws you to us, if that draws you to what we believe, that's great and that's amazing. If not, we're still going to be here for you. And that's the type of servant that we got to have in construction. Like, that's the type of servant that I want to be if I get to be a superintendent one day. That's what I want to be, because if people see that, that's what changes people's lives. And that's where we start to move and change the industry. And not to take too much of the conversation here, but going back to what you were saying, Jesse, you talked about how, the parents and supporting them, that they're advocating for people to go, or their kids to come into the trades or into construction. Well, I understand, because if not, obviously, Jesse, Walker, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't get to have this awesome opportunity. But then B, just value people, because it doesn't. I'm selfish. I want you to come to construction. Okay. I want you to see how great this industry is. But again, there's people that, man, there's janitors, there's teachers, there's people that people think of at the lowest of low. Like, they're humans that do something for you every single day. And we're going to complain about it. Man, I'm thankful for them. I'm so incredibly thankful for them. And we got to get back to just valuing people, no matter what they believe, and trying to love them through whatever they push us on, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I got something to add to that. I mean, I think, like you said, people are, and again, we're all guilty of it. I'm not like pointing my finger at someone, but people are so self-centered nowadays that's what they do, is they think about themselves most of the time, which is human nature. I get it. I totally get it. It's human nature. I am very, very guilty of it. But you have to fight to step outside of that and to change how you live, because like one of my favorite things to do is just to say hey to like the receptionist or to people that are in the front desk of an office building, like a security guard, because no one ever talks to them, like ever. And it's the craziest thing, because if you just start having a conversation with them, if you learn their name, the name is the sweetest thing that someone will ever hear.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's an identity. It's what people are called. It's what they call you by. And so if you just learn someone's name and talk to them and get to know them, oh man, it changes their life. And I'm not saying like, oh, look at me. I'm just saying like everyone should do it. You should, because you will be changed and they will be changed simply because you have a relationship with them now that people don't usually do it. Like I've had some people say like, no one's ever stopped and talked to me before. Like that hurts me. That makes me sad. Like, because they're a person too. You're like, come on, just have a conversation. You can take a minute out of your time of walking in the office to talk to someone new that you never said hey to before. Just ask their name. If you're like,
yeah,
Ryan, like, oh, cool, nice to meet you. Like, hope you have a great day. And then you just start adding to it as you go. Yeah. It's so little things that people can do every single day that will make a massive difference.
Yes, and we have to get to get out of ourselves, right? Out of myself to be able to do that. And I'll tell you, I've struggled with addiction and living. I was a black hole of need. Like, it was all about me. I just needed more. What was my drug of choice? More. That's what I wanted. I just needed more for me to consume of whatever and anything it was. The only thing that got me out of that was getting outside of myself.
That's good.
The more I fed into me, the worse it got. It just got stronger and stronger. But getting out of myself and recognizing that the person in front of me is the most important person in the room changed my life.
That's right. That's right. Uh-huh. That's good, because I mean, people may think of us three very highly now. I hope they don't. I want to be humbled every day, but it's like, I messed up. I've made failures. I've had my own types of addiction, and I don't want people to look at me now and think, wow, this guy's is humble. He can talk. Like, I don't want to be remembered that, like, guys, I've messed up. Every single person on this earth has messed up. And that's the whole point of trying to value who people are and what they do, is because I know I've messed up and I didn't give myself enough grace. I want to be there for someone else so they experience that grace of, hey, like Jesse said, my addiction was just more. And it wasn't about other people. It was about myself. And so how do we flip that? Like you said, Jesse, we turn and we want to think about the other person, and we want to do whatever we can to help them, not selfishly, not looking for anything in return.
Yep.
Davis does a great. I will add, Davis does a great job at that, especially on the podcast and especially on his job site. He's constantly looking for someone to touch in a positive way and to make a little difference in them. So
Yeah,
that is a good example of someone to follow.
10-4. You've done that for me. Both of you have. And so now this is a perfect segue into the big question.
That's right.
So the question is, we'll start with Davis and I'll come to you, Walker. The question is, what is a significant learning you've had as a result of a painful misstep?
Man.
I knew this was coming. It's still hard to like. I don't.
I love it.
Well, man, a painful misstep. We're talking just life in general?
Life in general.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you can hear me now, you couldn't tell 2-3 years ago, but.
All right, y'all. We got a bit of a change here. Yes, I'm breaking up the flow, and that's not going to change. It's going to stay the same. But the L&M family has spoken out, and we've heard you loud and clear. What we are doing is the backstage passes, these clips that you're not going to be able to listen to on this audio version, are now going to be available to everybody on our YouTube channel. So hit up our YouTube channel, subscribe, follow, like, hit all the buttons, and give yourself a little bit of a learnings and missteps marathon and catch up on all the outtakes. We want to hear your comments and we want to know what you're learning from these things, because all of our guests have shared some pretty intimate missteps and have had some pretty profound learnings. And we hope that you can take that and apply that going forward and even teach it to your people, the people you care about. So that is going to be the deal going forward. Thank you for supporting us, and back to the show. Maybe you feel this too. Sometimes it's like, man, nobody's listening. Like, why, it's taking so long. It's a small amount of viewership, etc.
Yep.
But what you're doing is you're building yourself. Right? The growth of the podcast, the accolades and all the attention, like you said, Walker, that, like, how important is that? And it's easy to get lost in the celebrity of all those things.
Very easy.
But what y'all are doing is building yourself. And the way that y'all serve, the way that y'all show up, I'll just say the way that you make me feel tells me that you're building something that's going to be amazing to continue adding and spreading that love and that value across everybody that you touch. So I don't know where you are on listenership, and it doesn't matter, because the outcome that I see is you guys are gaining a deeper understanding of yourself and understanding how to better share your gifts and talents with the world. Like, if that's not a win, bro, I don't know what is. So just keep being amazing.
Yeah.
And I need to go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, one of the coolest things that Davis and I experience is when we have someone reach out to us and it's like, dude, I've been listening to it. I love this. It's, I've learned so much, or I've grown, or like, I really appreciate you sharing this message. Even, like I said, Alex Kraft, we just interviewed him last week, earlier this week, I guess you say it. And one thing he's like, dude, like, I love listening to your podcast because I get to see other people's point of views. He's made this really cool app. I'll give him a little love, called Heave, Heave. It's really cool if you want to rent like heavy equipment, really easy. And you don't have to talk to people on the phone. You can just say what you need and you'll get quotes back from different vendors all throughout the area. Really cool. Look it up. Heave.co, I think is the website. But either way, he was saying, like, I get to experience other people's viewpoints that I don't ever get to talk to. And that's our goal. Like, we just want to share people's stories and let people listen to it. And that was the update that we need. We didn't think about that, to be honest with you. Davis and I have never heard that before. He's like, but I get to see, like, how does he think? How does this guy think? That is like that helps me, or Alex talking, that helps me do my job better. It gets me to grow a little bit better. I get to see what other people think. And I get outside of my bubble because he's in the heavy equipment world, right? And it's hard to, when you're in one world, you don't really get out of it very much unless you like try to get out of it. Yeah. And this is one way that we can help people get out of it. It's just by bringing on just all kinds of different people like you and like Jen and Adam and all kinds of people.
Yep. Yeah. You mentioned Jen and Adam. I don't know if y'all know about this, but we have a regular call twice a week at 4 a.m. And we've been working, I say we, Adam's been doing all the heavy lifting, working on a blog about culture. And y'all said the 3 words or some semblance of the 3 words. Adam's been able to tease out, Adam Hoots, right? Been able to tease out love, care, and compassion. Like those are some primary elements of a healthy culture. And I guess let me go on a little rant here.
Do it.
As you guys were talking about your learning and misstep, the significant one, what came out was love, care, and compassion. What you guys displayed for one another in the sharing of those missteps was love, care, and compassion. You almost said those 3 exact words in a sequence, and it's an important element to point out there. And also, it's foreign language that we don't necessarily use as men in any space.
Yeah, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then men in the construction industry with the silver fox and handsome young man, right? Like all of this stuff, future social media influencer, yeah, whatever, right? It is foreign language for that to come out of a man's mouth. And I applaud you guys because that's just where you come from. That's what you show. And I need to say this because we have to display the behaviors that we see. And in order to have that change, Davis, that you were talking about earlier, we have to be visibly different. And so, Davis, I love you. You've had a tremendous impact on my life, and I will carry it forward forever. Walker, I love you, man. I had no idea about the celebrity that I was speaking to on these podcasts.
No,
or you know, the highlights that you've had. You've had some pretty damn significant highlight. You got a highlight reel out there. There's no doubt in my mind.
I appreciate it.
And I love you because that's not where you're coming from. You're coming from human to human. So I love you both, gentlemen, and I want to say that, and I hope that people are getting a little shocked by hearing a man tell some other man that he loves them. Because that's what we needed. Because you know what? That's what I feel. And I don't need to be suppressing those feelings. And thank you both for creating this space right now that we're in that compelled me to say that. Because I'm sure I'm going to listen to it like we all do, right? And say, oh, I can't believe I said that.
Man, we love you too, man. We love you too, brother. Like, we've had just talking about this and men in construction. I'm about to go on a tangent too. So I had someone in my life. His name's actually Sidney Mims. I'm gonna give him a shout out because he has a wood shop. It's called the Bazale Builder, and he creates. He's a craftsman. Just some of his work's unbelievable. But he told me he loved me while we were still in school, and I was like, "What the heck is this guy saying? Like, what does that mean?" I just turned around and walked away, but I saw how he lived. I saw how great of a man he was. I saw about how he was in school, doing things differently, extremely disciplined, spoke into my life and in so many ways. I owe a lot to him. That dude's just a great guy, but experiencing him and him telling me he loved me, it's like, what in the heck? Well, you know, he's married now, and he his wife, and he has a kid, and he's got a successful business. And I just think about, you know, why do we get so uncomfortable with saying I love you to another guy? Well, he's so secure in himself that he doesn't care what Davis really thinks about him. He's just going to serve me, and he's going to love me, and he's going to care. And, you know, the world tells you, go be a toxic masculine man. Like, you can still be masculine and say that you love someone else, and because you just care, you value that other person, and you want to help them. There's nothing wrong. And there's different types of love, obviously. Like, I love my family different than I love Jesse. I love my
Right.
fiance differently than I love Walker. There's a different type, and I'm not trying to get too into the weeds, but man, if we could just be comfortable as men to go in and care, like generally care. Like when I see the guys on my job site, I don't just see bodies to push out a product and to make money. And I think I work for a company that knows me saying this is they want it. We want to value the people that come on our job site because they go home to families that they love, that they experience. And if I don't treat them the right way, I'm a direct impact, and they go home to their family and they take it out on their wife or kids. And I do not want to be remembered that way. So how in the moment when I'm irked and I'm mad and someone's not doing something that I asked them to do, how can I start to, lower myself and go, all right, it's all right. We're going to be okay. We're going to push through it and not respond out of anger. Well, to do that, you show with love. You go, all right, I'm going to take a beat. I'm going to go walk around and get out of this. I could go curse this guy out. I'm so mad, but I'm going to take some time. I'm going to reflect, and then I'm going to go talk to him and ask him questions and figure out what's going on in his life. Guys, if you do that, if you go take a minute and go ask questions, most of the time, guess what? That guy's going through something in life. He's going through something in life, and he doesn't really need someone yelling at him, cursing him out, telling him that you're not doing right. You're not meeting schedule. Like, go be a human and treat that human the way you want to be treated. And if you do that, that's when life change happens. That's when life change happens.
Damn, Mike, drop.
So good.
Bringing the heat.
We can end it right there. That's great.
Damn, I love it. You guys are amazing. All right, so we're sliding into home base. I think people are going to be able to, like, whatever your response to this question is, people are going to say, "Yep, no doubt. Those young men are absolutely going to be doing that." And so, Mike, the question is, what footprint do you want to leave on this world?
Walker, you go first. Give me time.
I don't know. I don't want to go first. That's a good one. Golly. Again, I know it's coming, and I just don't know.
I think it's come out of me. I mean,
it's for sure.
You see the tears, you see the passion, you see the love I have for people. I talked about how I want to be remembered, but ultimately, I feel this call. I feel this, and Jesse, I've shared this with Jesse and Walker, and I think it's going to take time. Experience takes time. I don't have the silver highlights yet, so I don't know exactly what other grown men in construction have gone through yet. I just haven't experienced it. But I think one day, ultimately, I would like to be a counselor to our tradesmen and women, or tradesmen and women, because they've gone through so much. And the industry's treated them, not all of them, I'm not going to just say it's but some of them just been treated like crap. They've been spit up, they've been chewed up. And it's apparent with me going back to saying about the suicide. We're the highest industry with suicide, and it's higher than OSHA's Fatal 4. So how can I make an impact where I can give a person, a safe place? And when people hear that, some people on the conservative side, when they hear safe place, they go, what is that crap? Like, why are you saying that? Well, I'm giving them an area so they can talk and have their feelings out. And because I needed that. Someone did that for me. Someone gave me the opportunity to go just feel comfortable, to cry and not get rebuked, to work through issues that I need to work through. And ultimately, I talk about her so much, Walker's probably tired of hearing her, but it's my aunt. Man, just what a person she was for me. But
she's awesome.
I want to be able to do that for other people, because if I've had to go through it, and guys, I haven't experienced like a lick of what a tradesman has. I am very fortunate. I went to college. Yeah, I worked in home builders, but I did not grow up like Jesse, being a plumber, working through it, putting your body on the line. I haven't had to do that. I'm so extremely thankful I had it. But I think back to, what if I did? Who were the men impacting me in that arena? Well, I know I'm kind of all over the place with this, but I think about that so much that I think about, what can I do to help others get out of, okay, no matter how someone else treats me, I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to take care of people. I'm going to value them. I'm going to love them. and I'm going to do what's best, and I'm going to try to make an impact on my sphere of influence every single day.
Damn.
That's good.
Dude,
I have a lot of passion. I'm sorry.
yeah, you do, man.
About this.
No need to apologize. We need that passion. The world absolutely needs that. And hopefully it gave Walker some time to warm up and check his notes to the answer.
No, I mean, honestly, a lot of it goes in line with Davis. You know, I value people so much. I again, that's the only thing in life that you can count on to be there is going to be people. Like your stuff can't be there for you. Like your coffee cup says get after it, can't be there for you. You know, so I mean, the only thing that you have in life is people, really, and that's what we're called to love. Again, we're going back to the love thing, but genuinely, I hate to see people put down for no reason. Like that drives me nuts. I don't know, and I've been guilty of it before, but I want people to feel valued. I want them to feel loved, and I want them to know that they can do so much more than they possibly ever thought they could. Like I hate the what's the word? I hate the assumption that people, you know, whatever class they come into or whatever world they get brought up into, they have to stay there. Like they can't move, they can't grow, they can't, you know, like well, this is what my dad did before me, so I'm going to do this too. I was like, no, you don't have to do that. If you want to, go for it. I don't care. But if you don't want to and you're just staying there because that is what you were told to do, then freaking get over it. Like don't let someone tell you that that's what you have to do, you know? And so I guess I'm getting on a rant too, but I just want people. I guess what was your question? How you want to be?
What footprint do you want to leave on the world?
Yeah, and that's it. I want people to know that when they think of me or when they think of Lane Foundations or Davis, that they truly felt heard and valued and listened to and respected and heard. You know, like that. I know I said heard twice, but again, we're going back to people don't listen. Like how many times I do this all the time? How many times do you say to someone, "Hey, how are you?" when you walk by and they're like, "Good, how are you?" "Good." And that's it. That's literally the conversation every time. You don't know about them. You don't care. Like, you know, I try to, at least when I call people on the phone, like, how is your day going so far? Or when I talk to like a cashier, how's your day going so far? Like, have you had a good day so far? Man, no one's ever asked, you know, like, you're the first person that's asked me that today, or no one's ever asked me that before. Like, I care. I want to know how your day's going because maybe I can make it better with a kind word or like something, right? And so
Yes.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't really have a straight up answer for it, but just the footprint of being like loving people. Like it's as simple as that. You know, it's the easiest thing to do. Highlands, the church that Davis and I go to ACC now, kind of online, I guess, because I'm not in Auburn anymore. But went to Highlands all my life, and one thing is what is it? Find freedom. What is it, Davis?
Make a difference.
Know God, find freedom, discover your purpose, and one other thing. It's like those are very good words to live by because that is exactly what you need to do. And it's I don't know. I could go on and rambling and not making much sense, but
well, Walker, I mean, originally when we first started this, you know, we started to go through the why and our values, but even before then, I know we call it a podcast value: listen to understand, not respond. But
yeah,
Walker and I clicked on. We want people to realize that whenever we're talking to them, they just get intense focus on them. And so many people in this world don't even do that. When you're talking to someone, it's I'm right here and yeah, okay, and blah blah blah. And, they're not even paying attention to what you're doing. I want people to see Davis and see I'm locked in and I'm listening, and that requires a lot of attention. But that's what I want to do because I used to be the guy who would just be like this while I'm listening and doing something else. Like multitasking is a myth, and fully focus on people, you have to give them your attention. And see, look, Walker's ready because I'm getting inspired here, but like. That's what we want to do. We want to listen and we want to understand, not to respond, but to truly help others.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, David said it perfectly. I can't really say it any better than that. You know, we have some values on the podcast, and that is one of them. And it's just so many times in life, people. And again, when I say people, I am just as guilty of this, like more than most. I am so guilty of it that is why I think I have at least some authority to talk over it, because I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
But there's so many times where you'll look at someone and you'll hear what they say, but like we say, listen to understand, not to respond. All you're thinking about as you're listening to someone talk is what you're going to say next. You're not thinking about what they just said. You're not thinking about, like, what do they mean by that? Like, what are they actually struggling with? What's a deeper meaning behind what they just said? You're like, oh, that's cool. Let me tell you about me. Or let me tell you what I think. and the thing is, people do not want unsolicited advice. I'm going to say, people don't want it. No one wants your advice if they don't ask for it. Do not give your advice to someone if they do not ask for your advice, because people don't want it. If you have a conversation with someone, it's like, hey, well, I think you should do this, and I think you should do this, and I think, no one's going to listen to you. But if you deeply understand them and you say, well, tell me about this, well, tell me about this, well, tell me about this, eventually it's going to come through, well, what do you think? Well, I think this. And like, that is how you get to it. That is how you can tell your opinion, not just by volunteering, like, do this.
Yep.
I think you should do this. I think you're wrong. I think this is what happens. Like, I hate it. I hate it. And I used to do it all the time. Again, Caroline, she has done an incredible time of saying, people don't want unsolicited advice. Like, if they ask for it, tell it to them, but get to know them. Don't just want to talk and talk about you. Like, talk about them. Ask them questions. Ask them questions. Ask them questions. Get to know them.
Yes, that is great advice, Walker. That's a joke. Now, y'all answered the question brilliantly. I know after you listen to it, you're gonna say, "Oh wow, I said something good." Like y'all are like speaking truth, man. It's beautiful. I know the L&M family is going to get a whole lot out of this. This is amazing. And I mean, we're coming up on, like, it's time, right? We know, I guess I would be very sad if we were not going to be talking again, but we will be talking again, right? We've got a few more live streams on the books. Yep. And we'll see. I got to go wrestle with Renee, maybe bribe his beautiful wife to, like, can we please have him for the morning? Can
we borrow him?
Yes. He loved, like, we talked about, he almost backed out because of work, but it ended up working out that he was able to be on. And afterwards, he's like, man, that was awesome. I was like, I told you, dude. And they're cool. Like, this is the kind of people you want to be seen with.
Right.
So we will be having future conversations, like live and available for people to impart in and see. I'm wearing a cap today, but I will have the highlights shining for the live stream.
Yes.
So guys, did y'all have a good time?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Great time. This is awesome.
Man, and hey, people don't realize, you see the eyebrows are the real color. So that gray is telling you how much time we spent highlighting. But yeah, Jesse, man, we had an unbelievable time. I appreciate you. The value you created for me is unlike any other. I was taught a year ago when I met this dude who's learning missteps that I would grow so close to him, A, but B, just how much value we've talked on our phone calls before about what you poured into me. Hey, Davis, let's approach it this way. Or you ask first. You go, hey, can I challenge you? Hey, can I give you some advice? Hey, can I?
Exactly. There we go.
And yeah, come on, tell me, push me. Like, I need it. And I joke about the wisdom and the gray hair, but man, you've gone through life. You've had great experience, and you just want to help people. And you are. You feed into us. You serve us, and I'm just so thankful for you. I appreciate what you do for us.
Didn't I tell you, these dudes are next level? I feel 10 years younger just hanging out with them. Still got the gray hair, though. And now we're going to give a shout out. I mentioned her just a second ago, and I want to make sure this name doesn't get missed, because she has contributed greatly to this podcast. She writes up our show notes. She comes up with the titles. Super creative, super great to work with. You can find her on Fiverr as Kayla_Soul Hug. She gave us a special little note specifically about this episode. So Kayla says, amazing episode with amazing guys. The industry needs more love and more people like you three. Kayla, thank you for that. Of course, that was a little selfish there. I had to pat myself on the back. Kayla, thank you for your support and for your observation. I know how much time and effort you put into intently listening to every episode we send your way. And we are grateful for the product that you have provided us with. And to the rest of the L&M family, we love y'all, and we'll talk at you next time. Man, you are one dedicated listener, sticking with us all the way through to the very, very end. Please know that this podcast dies without you, and we invite you to share how the episode's impacting you, along with your thoughts, questions, and suggestions. You've been gracious with your time, so we added social media links in the show notes to make it super easy for you to connect with us. Be kind to yourself, stay cool, and we'll talk at you next time.